2 participants. Hello there. I see a couple of people trying to sign in. Wait for more people to show up. See if anybody's going to sign on. Got 4 viewers. Well, how is everyone today? I hope everyone's doing good. I thought I would show off some of my locomotives and maybe some extras and whatnot. So I guess I'll get started. Let's start off with ones that I have put in a video in the past. And these are all Bachmann. Hey John Goforth, how are you doing? So I did a video on some Bachmann locomotives in the past, and it had to do with the locomotives not being prototypical. And they were at first, Southern Pacific, and with them not being prototypical, the main reason was SP locomotives had 2 headlights, and Bachmann only put 1 on these locomotives. So in order for me to make them prototypical, I had to go back and take Southern Pacific off, take the logo off on the front, and change them over to cotton belt units. And so these are the 4 locomotives I have, and these are prototypical. Number 925, which is an A unit. And like I said, right here where the cotton belt logo is where that second headlight would be if it was, an SP unit. And then SP would have their logo. Well, let me move it up. Maybe you can see a little better. So you had the headlight here. Where the cotton belt logo is here would have the SP, or the second headlight, and then right here where there's numbers would be the SP logo. And then of course on the side, SP would still have its number here, but it would say Southern Pacific on the side. The other main difference between SP and cotton belt on these locomotives is, of course, there would be, Bachmann didn't put enough grab irons on there, but they did put the 2 on the front. All of cotton belt's grab irons were white, cotton belts were all yellow. But as far as the rest of the paint scheme, it was all the same. So I did 925, 927, and these are actual based off of the number prototypes. And then as far as the B units had even numbers. So I did 926 and 928, which their numbers are in the center. They didn't have any logos or anything else on those. So starting off with those 4. Now these are Bachmann locomotives that come with DCC, and they do come with sound. Let's see here. I've got 2 more cotton belts with a different paint scheme. Now those 4 there were F7As and F7Bs that you're looking at. These are actually FTs, and these are actually custom painted. And I might have to go back and fix some of the decals, as some of the decals are starting to fall apart. But this is a FTA, and this is a Stewart Hobbies. And I do not have sound in this one yet. This one does have DCC installed, but I do plan on putting sound in it. There's your look for the front of it there. Same thing, cotton belt never had 2 headlights on their locomotives. But what's really cool is the 900 here does light up, so that is a really, really neat feature. And the number boards also light up as well. And then, of course, I have a respective B unit, but the only problem with this B unit is it is DC only. It does not have a decoder installed in it. I do have another A and B unit that are also DC only, and those I still have to put together, and they are in the Black Widow paint scheme, which Cotton Belt did run a mix of their yellow and Confederate gray and their Black Widows. That's all of the F units that I do have. I do got, well, no, take that back. I do have a couple of SP. I got an F7B and my F7A, which is the cab camera locomotive, the one that has the spy camera installed. These are Athearn blue boxes, and these are not prototypical at all because SP did not use the daylight paint scheme on their F units. They were all Black Widows. Their F units were, the E units, which I will show you one here in a little while. Those were in daylight because they mainly use those for passenger sets or for passenger service. So I do have those. I've got a couple of Alcos. So I have this one here is a Proto 2000. This is an Alco A. PA. So this would be mainly for passenger service. This I do have Tsunami 2 sound in. Now, St. Louis Southwestern or Cotton Belt only had two of these, Locomotive 300 and Locomotive 301, but they never ran together. The Cotton Belt ran from East St. Louis, Illinois, all the way down to, I want to say, Tyler, Texas. And one of these would be running southbound, and the other one would be pulling a passenger train going northbound. Now, Cotton Belt did have two other passenger services that they had locomotives in the daylight paint scheme, which I have neither one of those. I want to say one was like a GP7P in daylight, which ran from, I want to say, Brinkley to Memphis. And then the other one was a F7PA locomotive 306, if I'm not mistaken. And that ran from Louisville, Arkansas down to Shreveport, Louisiana. So that's my SP Alco PA in daylight, or my SSW one. Here's my SP. Same. This is an MTH brand. Now, earlier when we were talking about headlights, let me hold both of these side by side so that way you can see them. You can see that this SP version here, which this brand is MTH, this brand is Proto 2000. You can see the SP had two headlights and the Cotton Belt only had one. And the Cotton Belt, you can't really see it in the camera, but where the second headlight would be, it's actually got its road number. So these are the exact same locomotives, same paint schemes, Cotton Belt and Southern Pacific. Southern Pacific number 6005, this is an MTH brand. This has got DCC sound, and it even has an actual smoking unit right here. So I can pour smoke fluid in there, and this one will smoke its rear end off going around the track. Maybe one of these days that I get my layout set up enough, I can actually show y'all. I would love to have a complementary A and B to go with it and have an ABA and have all three smoking. That would be pretty awesome, because SP was known for running ABAs in their Alcos. Alright, let's see what I got next. Now, I don't have all my locomotives with me. I still got a few that I still have put up. But I do have a switcher unit. Now, this one here is a dummy. I was hoping to get sound put into this one. But, even if I could just put a sound car. Because these old blue boxes are just not built to put sound in them, without obstructing the cab. But what I thought was really cool on this one is the locomotive number is 2513, and right under it says Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff was the main hub of that railroad. They had a roundhouse there. They had locomotive shops. I mean, it was a pretty big ordeal. Then eventually they put in a hump yard, and it was the midway point between, hey, Joe Rader, it was the midway point between St. Louis and, Tyler, Texas. And I thought it was really neat because that was the town I grew up in. And my grandfather, he worked for the Cotton Belt. Cotton Belt, Southern Pacific, and he retired when Union Pacific took out. Hey, James Galton, how are you doing, my friend? So with this one saying Pine Bluff on it, it was a must for me to have, no matter what the condition was. It did come with a motor in it, and the motor was seized up, so I converted it to a dummy. Now, I do have a Switcher 1500 that is a SP. It's a Broadway Limited that I do pair up with this one. So that way, I can do some switching operations with the switcher. All right, next. Now, I'm kind of trying to go old to new. So now what I have is a GP, I think this is a GP9. This is a lifelike, and I have installed Tsunami One sound in it. This is locomotive number 825. It's also a Black Widow paint scheme, high nose. I like running the high noses every once in a while. I know the hobby shop that I work with there's a SD9 Southern Pacific that I'd love to team up with this one. I think it'd be really, really cool. I can put an in-scale decoder in the switcher. Good to know, but what about... I might be able to put a mini cube speaker in there, maybe. It might do. But that switcher, going back to that switcher, it's a Athearn Blue Box. It's one of the old ones, and I tried putting, replacing it and putting like a TSU board on it, and it wouldn't go all the way down. It just wouldn't fit. That motor's just too big in it. But like I said, I took the motor out since, so it's a dummy. So this one here I've taken apart because I've got a wire hanging out of it. This is a Proto 2000. This is a GP38-2. This one here I will be doing a video on very shortly because I have the decoder in. I'm just waiting to get a, let's see here. I have a Switch Proto 2000. Sugar Cube in the cab roof. I did Digitrax in mine. So, one thing about me, when it comes to sound, I am actually an authorized installer for Soundtracks. The hobby shop, I'm not an employee of the hobby shop. I work with them on the side, and it's Arkansas Traveler Hobbies in Bald Knob, Arkansas. The owner sent me back in 2017 to Durango, California to attend the dealer training. And so I'm the only authorized Soundtracks installer in the state of Arkansas, to my knowledge. Unless one of the other hobby shops have recently sent anybody, as of 2017, I was the only one. But I plan on putting Soundtracks in this one here. Like I said, this is GP38-2. And I've already got the decoder in stock. And one of the nice things is I like about the Protos. Yeah, Durango, Colorado. If I said California, I'm sorry. I'm not all here today. It's been a long day at work. But it's one that you can't put a TSU board in, so I had to wait for the right decoder for that one. It's the one that's got like all the wires hanging off of it. I can't remember how they call it. So, going to look at ECU. Is that Loc Sound? I've messed with a little bit of Loc Sound, and I'm not... Their sound is too quiet for me. I know you can go and program it, but I'm just not a big fan of Loc Sound, especially in some of the Walther stuff that's come out recently that I played with. I'm just not a big fan. Now I hear that ECU is a whole lot better as far as like motor control and slow speeds, which could be a benefit, but I know with Soundtracks you can actually do some programming to make the locomotives operate better in low speeds, such as like if you're doing like on your throttle like a speed step of 128. If you're in speed steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's creeping, if you don't go and configure those decoders correctly, it's like the locomotive will just jerk and jerk and jerk and jerk, and it's just not cool. So to complement that GP38-2, I have a MTH GP35. This is one of the first MTH locomotives I bought. And for me, switching operations, this thing is awesome. Because it's got the proto couplers on the back where you can just hit a function button on your throttle and it will uncouple. But for some odd reason, MTH has done away with their proto couplers. And I like those a whole lot better than KD. But at least with KD, if you put the magnet down in the track, you can uncouple that way. But nothing's better than hearing, hitting a function button, you hear the uncouple sound in the locomotive, and watch the magnetic couple release. It's really, really cool. So, and I'm almost done, I promise. I've got just a handful more to go. Alright, so this one I'm sure y'all have seen on some of my videos. This is my ST45T-2 Cotton Belt Bicentennial unit, Spirit of 1776. You probably seen this in my July the 4th video I did, and if you watched my how to installs the Tsunami 2, I've installed it in there and even used this one for programming. So I'm looking at trying to get a SD40 T-2 to complement it, even if it's in Cotton Belt or SP, maybe a couple more. Just right now, I don't have that many locomotives. I want to try to have it to where I've got, 2 or 3 running in consist at a time, because you really didn't see a lot of locomotives, including locals, with just one locomotive. Most of the time, they always had at least 2. So, and I know there's a few manufacturers that's got the other 2 SP units. I think one's a GP40 and the other one is a U40B, I think. I could be wrong on that last model. I know it's a U-boat, but I can't remember the exact same model. But they're both Southern Pacific, but they have the exact same paint scheme. And the Cotton Belt SP ran all 3 units once with the Spirit of 76 caboose on the back, which I have the caboose. And I'm working on, spoiler alert, but I am working on getting a sound car to go in that caboose and hopefully get some lights in it. So, alright, I've got 3 more pieces. Alright, so this one here is a little broken. I'm going to have to hold it under the truck because the truck clip is broke. It still works. This one is it's a U-boat. I can't remember the exact same model, but this one's an Atlas. I have 2 of these. The other one is partially taken apart because I'm in the process of installing Tsunami 2 sound in it as well. So that would give me 2 of these to run. I can't remember what the other road number is because it's put in another box, but I've got 2 of these U-boats to go with it. I feel like I got a pretty good arsenal of locomotives. Alright, the other rail line I plan on running from time to time, this is a town that I grew up in, or didn't really grow up, but I went to college in, and this rail line is the Ashley, Drew, and Northern. So Ashley and Drew are both counties in Arkansas. So Ashley County, which is Crossett, Drew County, Monticello. I attended the University of Arkansas at Monticello a couple of years, and I would see these run through town. And Crossett had a humongous Georgia Pacific plant. So this was mostly transporting lumber and plywood. But I'm probably going to end up using this one, and I have another one. This one's a dummy, number 1810. It's a Walters, and they only made these in one road number. I re-decaled another one as 1811, and I had to use, it was Missouri Pacific steam locomotive decals to get the numbers to match up right. But the ADN had 3 of these. They had 1810, 1811, and 1812. And there's a guy who works for Union Pacific here in North Little Rock. His dad, I'm good friends with him, but his dad was the last vice president of the Ashley, Drew, and Northern before they folded. Arkansas Midland Railroad owns Ashley, Drew, and Northern's tracks now. and their rolling stock. So that's going to be probably the one that will end up running back and forth between the staging area. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. All right, last but not least, this one is not a locomotive, but I got a good deal on it recently, and I thought it was really, really cool. And the only place that it runs is either at the back of the train or in front of the locomotives. And that is a rotary snowplow. And it is motorized. And I am planning on installing a Tsunami 2 in here. Maybe a smoke unit if I can get one to fit. But I do plan on doing that. Tsunami 2, Tsunami 2 Sound. And Soundtracks recently did a video on it for an Athearn, but these Walthers kind of work the same way. But I only paid $45 for this thing. The only thing that's wrong with it is the wire that connects the tender to the cab. Let me see if I can get it taken apart. Come on. I'm going to try to do that. But the wire pin broke off. I don't know if y'all can see that very well. But the connector doesn't work. And then the other thing that's wrong with it is there will be a cover right here on the front with a headlight in the middle, and that piece is missing. I have asked Walthers to see if they have any spare parts for this, and I'm hoping that they do. And so, but like I said, the blade is motorized, and you know, doing the speed steps properly, I can make it to where this thing doesn't get out of control. So that's really all I've got as far as my locomotives. I do have a few others that are put up somewhere, but that's pretty much my arsenal to start with. So, well, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I've got a meeting to be at in 15 minutes, so I'm going to have to cut tonight short. But with, you know, hopefully I'll be able to get maybe a weekly live stream coming up, or maybe can be a fill-in for some of the others, you know, when they need to take their breaks and such, like Sparky's taking his tonight. So, well, I appreciate y'all attending, and I hope y'all have a rest of the good evening.